positives and negatives, and order of operations. And MB, Math Bug. Hopefully this will help you out in dealing with basic arithmetical problems that involve positives and negatives and order of operations. If you'd like to email me, you can email me at rajaneshell@yahoo.com. I'd like you to meet MB. That stands for Math Bug. You might notice this letter. On the right hand side it goes 1, 2, 3 up to 10, then dot dot dot. That means it goes on forever. And on the left hand side it goes -1, -2 up to -10, and a dot dot dot. That goes on forever that side. Math Bug is going to help you learn how to use positives and negatives. We will now determine 3 minus 5. MB starts on step 3 and he's going to go to the left 5 steps. So MB started at step 3, went down to step 2, that was 1 step, step 1, that was 2 steps, step 0, that was 3 steps, climbed up to -1, that was 4 steps, and he climbed up to -2, that was 5 steps to the left, and we're at -2. So 3 minus 5 equals -2. We could also think of another way of doing this. If you go up 3 steps and then to the left or down 5 steps, you went down more steps than you went up. So we know it's a negative, and then you could say, well, 5 minus 3 is 2, but it's a negative. Our ladder looks a little different now. It's going from lower left to upper right. And Math Bug sees that the first number we have is 3, and starts at 0 and goes up 3 steps, and then proceeds to go down 5 steps because it's -5 or -5, and lands at -2. So we see at the start, Math Bug is at 3 and came down 5 steps to finish at -2. Here we have a different kind of a ladder, and our problem is, what is 4 plus a -3? So Math Bug starts at 0 and he takes 4 steps. So he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and he winds up at 4. And now he has to go to the left 3 steps. It's -3. So 4 to 3 is 1 step, 3 to 2 is another step, and 2 to 1 is another step. That's 3 steps to the left, and he lands at 1. Here we have 4 minus 6 equals -2. Could have written 4 plus a -6. So Math Bug starts at 0, goes 4 steps to the right, winds up at 4. And then Math Bug proceeds to go 6 steps to the left. So that's 3, 2, 1, 0, -1, -2, and he's in his red suit, and he lands at -2. So positive numbers, you go to the right, negative numbers, you go to your left. But we started at 4, and then we did -6. You don't start at 0 and go -6. You start at 4 and go to -6 steps, which brings you to -2. Here we have -4 minus 2, and it's equal to -6. How did we get there? We start at 0. We go 4 steps to the left, and you can see Math Bug is at -4. Another thing now is -2. Go 2 more steps to the left, and that would be -5, then to -6, and we see the Math Bug is now at -6. This could have also have been written -4, go to -4 plus a -2. Go down 2 more steps, and you get to -6. So you can think of this as -4 minus 2. Go down 4, go down 2. Or go to the left 4, go to the left 2. And then -4 plus a -2, we can think of that as go to the left -4 and go to the left -2. Or if you wanted to go down, we could say go 4 steps down and go 2 steps down. But we're still going to get to -6. We'll now use money to explain positives and negatives. Now, if you have $10 in the wallet, that's positive, and a box of candy costs $3. So we're going to buy the box of candy for $3. So the problem is, what's 10 minus 3? So you go start at 10, you're going to go 3 steps down, 9, 8, 7. So 10 minus 3 equals 7. Now we have an example. We start off with $10, and we want to buy a big box of candy, and it costs $14. Now, if you only got 10 and it costs 14, I think we're $4 short. So 10 minus the 14 is a negative 4 because we're $4 short. Now we start off with $10 again, and we'll buy a box of candy for $5 and a box of candy for $3. So we could do 10 and take away 5 minus 5, and that gives you 5. And then we could turn around and say, okay, we have $5 left. Now we're going to take away $3, and we have $2 left. And that's our money that we have left. Or we could do 10 minus, we're spending $5 and $3. That's $8 total, and 10 minus 8 is 2. If we don't know subtractions, you get on the number line to the left. Okay, we start at 10. Go 5 steps down. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We're on 5. And now you go 3 steps down. 4, 3, 2. If you want to do it the other way, where we spend 5 plus 3 is 8, and go down 8 steps. So you go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. This is another approach to adding positives and negatives. Now our first problem is going to be 4 plus a negative 1. This could also be written as 4 minus 1. Now, you see 4 boxes with plus signs, and you see in the lower part 1 box with a negative sign. If a plus box is matched up with a negative box, it goes to nothing, 0. And that would leave 3 plus boxes. So what we have is that 4 plus a negative 1, or 4 minus 1, is equal to 3. Now we have 3 plus a negative 5, or it could be written as 3 minus 5. Now we take the 3 boxes with the plus signs and match those up with 3 of the boxes with the negative signs. And so that would leave 2 boxes with negative signs. So 3 plus a negative 5, or 3 minus 5, is negative 2. Now we have 5 plus a negative 9, or 5 minus 9. Now we see that the 5 boxes with the plus signs have been matched up with 5 of the boxes with the negative signs. We see kind of one negative box that hasn't been matched in the middle, and we have the 3 boxes over to the right that haven't been matched. We have 4 negative boxes left. So 5 plus a negative 9, or 5 minus 9, is negative 4. Now we have negative 3 plus a negative 5, and it could also be written as negative 3 minus 5. There are no boxes with plus signs. So the bottom part shows we could have the 3 boxes over to the left, 3 negative boxes, and then we're going to add to it 5 boxes with negative signs, and altogether 3 plus 5 is 8, but they're all negative, so the answer is negative 8. Now we come to the mathematical way of determining the sign of an answer when we add positives and negatives. Now we start off with the problem negative 8 plus a negative 10. We focus on the positive parts of the number, 8 and 10. 10 is bigger than 8. So therefore, our answer will be positive. And then what we do is do 10 and 8, take the difference of the 2, and that's the number 2. We look at our next problem. We have negative 8 plus a negative 10. The positive parts are 8 and 10. 8 plus 10 is 18. Both of them are negatives. So the answer is negative 18. Our next problem, 14 plus a negative 10. The positive parts are 14 and 10. 14 is bigger than 10. So our answer will be positive. And the difference of 14 and 10 is 4. We look at our next problem. 14 plus a negative 20. The positive parts are 14 and 20. The difference of 20 and 14 is 6, and since it's a negative is with the 20, the answer will be negative 6. Here we have some examples with positive numbers and negative numbers with multiplication and division. And our first example is the negative of negative 23. The negative of a negative is positive. So we could have had the negative of negative 5 is 5. You can think of this as negative 1 times a negative 23, but you're going to get 23. Our next example, 3 times a negative 4 equals negative 12. And negative 5 times 6 is equal to negative 30. So if you have one negative, or multiplication doesn't matter whether it's with the first number or the second number, you get a negative result. A negative times a negative is a positive, and we see below, negative 13 times a negative 4 is 52. Now we look at division. 24 divided by negative 6 is negative 4, and negative 56 divided by positive 8 is negative 7. So we see with division, it's like multiplication. If you have one negative, your answer is negative. And just like multiplication, if you divide a negative by a negative, you get a positive. And negative 90 divided by negative 45 equals 2. And we can't make these rules up for subtraction, because you can have things like 5 minus 8. That happens to be negative 3. But 8 minus 5 is 3. So there's no fixed rules. It depends on which number has the bigger positive part. But for multiplication and division, the rules are quite simple. One negative, you have a negative answer. Two negatives, you get a positive answer. Here we have the order of operations. Our first rule, we always work from left to right. So it's just like reading, you read left to right. We will never go right to left, always left to right. Now once we establish that, the next thing we do when we look at an expression, we will always do what's in parentheses first before we add, subtract, multiply, divide, or do things with exponents. So we'll do what's in the parentheses next. Then, as we read left to right and do things in parentheses, then we do exponents. Now exponents look like a to the b power. Now examples would be 2 to the third. That means 2 times 2 times 2. 3 times, that's 8. Or we could have 5 squared. That's 5 times 5, 25. Okay, after we do exponents, then we multiply and divide as they occur left to right. And then after we multiply and divide, as we still read left to right, we get to add and subtract. And we'll have some examples showing how these rules work. Here we have some examples using the order of operations. Now, in our first problem, you have 4 minus 2 in parentheses times 5. So we must do what's in parentheses first. 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Our next problem, 4 minus 2 times 5. We read left to right. We have a subtraction and a multiplication. We must multiply first. 2 times 5 is 10. 4 minus 10 is negative 6. We could have also done negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, and 4 and a negative 10 is also negative 6. Our next one is a division problem. 4 divided by 2 divided by 2. Now we read left to right. 4 divided by 2, that's 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. If you had gone right to left, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 1 is 4. You would get a different answer. We must read left to right. Our next problem, we have 7 minus 3 squared. That's an exponent. So before we do anything, we're going to do 3 squared. Now 3 times 3 is 9. Now we have a new problem, 7 minus 9, that's negative 2. We come to our next problem. We have the negative of whatever 3 squared is. We must do the exponent first. 3 squared is 9, and we have negative 9. That's quite different, as I've shown below. Negative 3 quantity squared is a negative times a negative, which is a positive 9. Boom. Here we have some more order of operations. Our first problem, number 6, 10 squared minus 8 squared. We must do exponents first. 10 squared, 10 times 10, 100, minus 8 squared. 8 times 8 is 64. So we have 100 minus 64, which is 36. Our next problem, we have division, multiplications, and subtraction. We're going to read left to right. We see the first math bug shows that 4 divided by 2, starting on the left, is our first step. And then after we do that, we're going to do the second step. We're going to multiply that number times 3. Can't do that subtraction yet. Our third step is going to be 8 divided by 4. And after we do that, we're going to say times 5. That's our fourth step. And after we do that, we're going to divide by 2. And we'll put all the stuff together. So our first step, 4 divided by 2 is 2. That's the rid 2 times 3 minus 8 divided by 4 times 5 divided by 2. Next step, 2 times 3. That's 6. That's the rid 6 minus 8 divided by 4 times 5 divided by 2. Now we got 6 minus a blue 2. That's 8 divided by 4 times 5 divided by 2. Now, 2 times 5. That's 10. So now we got 6 minus 10 divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 6 minus 5 is 1. Our next problem, we have exponents. We must do the exponents first. Now, 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. Another 3 squared, another 9. Now, working left to right, 16 divided by 2 is 8 times 9 is 72. Okay, now we have 8 divided by 8, that's 1. Divided by 9 is 1/9. So we got 72 minus 1/9. That is 71 and 8/9. The last problem had a mixed number for an answer. So we'll look at some fractions with positives and negatives. Our first problem is 5 3/7 minus 4. Now 5 3/7 is bigger than 4, so it's going to be a positive answer. And the way to do mixed numbers, when you add or subtract, if you're subtracting, you subtract the whole numbers and you subtract the fractions. If you add the whole numbers and you add the fractions. So 5 minus 4, that's 1. You get 3/7 minus, there is no fraction with 4, so we simply have 3/7, so the answer is 1 3/7. That's an easy problem. We come to our next problem. We got 2 minus 5 3/7. 5 3/7 is bigger than 2, so your answer is negative. Here's how we do it. So it's minus the big number minus the small number. So it's going to be a negative answer. 5 3/7 minus 2 is just like the first problem. 5 minus 2 is 3, so the answer is a negative, then 3 3/7. Now we look at the next problem. We got 2 3/11 minus 25. That answer will be negative. So I have a negative on the outside of the parens, and so we got 25 minus 2 3/11. Now here's how you do this. You do 25 minus 2. That's the 23. And there's no fraction with the 25, so you have negative 3/11. So it's the negative of 23 and negative 3/11. To change the 23 and negative 3/11, we're going to make it so that the mixed number does not have a negative fraction. Here's how you do it. Drop 23 by 1 unit. Goes to 22. You put it over 11, add 11 and negative 3, and that is 8. So below is another example of how to change a mixed number with a negative fraction to a mixed number without a negative fraction. And so we have the mixed number 85 and negative 6/17. So we're going to drop the 85 by 1. That's what the arrow says. Drop it by 1. So 85 becomes 84. It's still over 17. You take the two numbers, negative 6 and 17, you add them up, and that's the new numerator, 11. So this will work when you have a mixed number with a positive whole number and a negative fraction. In our last example, we have the mixed number negative 345 and negative 18 over 23, not written in the correct form. We do not want a negative fraction with a mixed number. So here's how we're going to do this. It's the negative of the fraction and the mixed number 345 and negative 18 over 23. We use the method. We drop the 345 by 1 unit. It goes down to 344. The denominator is still 23. The numerator is 23 plus a negative 18 is 5. And so our final answer is negative the whole mixed number 344 and 5 over 23. You might want to watch the video fractions, and you might want to watch tuples, and it's a longer video, Tuples 101 Basics, and you're in for some treats when you watch Tuples 101 Basics.